I've just filmed this once and I weren't in shot. I'm right annoyed. How many times have I done this? Get me sending shot. Right, let me sit right back so you can see me. In case you didn't see my last video, they say I'm 32 weeks pregnant. I say I'm 30. At 28 weeks, with your BMI as high as mine, you're meant to go for a gestational diabetes glucose intolerance test. I didn't go because the hospital's miles away. I don't drive, I couldn't get there for that time in the morning. But for my last two babies, they've just done me a blood test and said, okay, then your sugar levels are fine. So I had the blood test for this baby at 28 weeks. Didn't hear nothing, so I assumed it was alright. So when I saw the midwife, which is a good 3 weeks, month after having the blood test, she said, well, you've not passed it. And I said, well, I haven't heard nothing. She says, well, you had passed it. The first midwife who saw it said you'd passed it, because for a person who's not pregnant, or a person who's before their 28 week gestation, the normal sugar level in your blood for their test should be 41 or below. But after 28 weeks pregnancy, the normal blood sugar level should be 39 or below. Now the first test, the one on the sugar in my blood right that instant, I passed. The second test, which was measuring the sugar in my blood over time or something, I was 40, so I was one number out. But if you go by their dates, I've not passed it. If you go by my dates, I've passed it. But anyway, she went on about, you know, what if you've got we don't know if you have or not, but what if you've got gestational diabetes, because this and this can happen, your baby can be born, you know, really, your baby can grow really big and all this lot. Then 10 minutes later, same appointment, she measures my belly and then she says, oh, he's just half a line below what he should be on graph. So his growth slowed down. So then this was last Friday, so then she says within 72 hours, so Monday, which was yesterday, you need to go to the hospital, you need to pick up a diabetic blood finger prick test, blood test thing, so you can test your blood all week long to see if your sugar levels stay like that, which means you haven't got gestational diabetes, or if they keep going like that, or they stay up here, which means you have, because your baby could grow too big. But at the same time, you've got to have a growth scan because your baby could be too small. So I agreed to go, but you know how upset I get just seeing a midwife, never mind going to the hospital. So I was worried about it. And then the more people I spoke to, the more people that were like, one person, they said that their blood test was just one out, like mine is, and then they made them go on medication, they wouldn't leave them alone, they wouldn't let them have a home birth, they made them go to the hospital all the time for growth scans, they insisted on inducing them, and then the baby was like £8. Woman on the back, who lives over the back of us, they did the same thing to her, harassed her and harassed her and harassed her, and the baby was £6. There was another woman and she said that she had to go for a growth scan every single week. Because the thing is, I knew if I went for the scan, they said to me the finger prick test thing had been behind the reception waiting for me. We all know that's not what was going to happen. It'd be, oh, you've got to wait and see so and so and so and so and so and so and jump through so many hoops before you get it. And then they won't leave you alone even then. And also I don't want a growth scan, because I had all this with my last baby, saying, you know, it's 1 week saying she's too big, 1 week saying she's too small, I could feel him jigging about in there. And all of a sudden I look pregnant, which I haven't done previously. So anyway, I talked about it with my mum, you know, the risks and what to do and what have you. And this is what we're doing. I've got this book, and I'm keeping a record of everything I eat. And I'm also keeping a record of everything the midwife say to me in case there's any afterwards. Now, I started this Saturday morning. To start with, I cut out all sugar. The diet isn't that different. I've been looking up gestational diabetes diets, and I've been looking up gestational diabetes YouTube videos, you know, like what I ate in a day and stuff like that. But it's not stuff I can relate to. It's always posh people who are like, oh yes, I had some quinoa and spinach and stuff like that. Nothing a mum on a counsellor's sake can relate to, but I got the gist of it. And from speaking to people who have been on this diet, put on this diet by the doctors. So I cut out all sugar, apart from like the amount of portions of fruit I'm allowed, and I've reduced carbs significantly, and I'm only drinking water. So, but the diet's not that different to what I eat anyway. I eat healthy anyway, but I do eat far too many puddings and biscuits and cakes and stuff. I take responsibility for that. So I've cut that out. So I'm keeping a record. And then yesterday morning, I rung the midwife line, no answer. 6 times, no answer. Then I rung the doctors and they wouldn't leave the midwife a message for me. So then I rung another number for midwives and got through. And it was a different midwife to my midwife. And she tried to make me feel dead bad because I said I didn't want to go for a growth scan. Tried to scare the living hell out of me about what would happen if I didn't go. And I just said, look, I know this is my last baby. And she was shut up then. And then my midwife rung me back. And my midwife says that's fine if I test myself for a week like I was going to do with their kit. But she wants me to send the results through on an app to the diabetic specialist nurse, specialist midwife at the hospital. And I said yeah, but it was only after we got off the phone and realised I hadn't a clue how to contact this woman. But the midwife's meant to be bringing me back, and she hasn't yet. But when she does, I shall say, look, how do I contact this woman? And we agreed that, you know, if they stay alright, I'm alright. If they're like that, then I need to seek medical attention. But I says to her, can I redo the blood test? This blood test I only just failed, can I redo it? And she said, yeah. And I said, so if I pass the retest, does that mean I've not got gestational diabetes? And she said, well, no, because the blood test isn't that accurate. The only thing, the most accurate thing is the glucose intolerance test, which I didn't have. But you have to have it before 36 weeks. So I was like, I had that blood test and my last 2 kids and you told me I was fine, and you're telling me now that it's not accurate. So how come if the first blood test had come back okay, you'd have said okay, but if the second one comes back okay, you're going to say, oh, it's not accurate? So they're still not going to let me go, are they? They're still not going to let me have a home birth and trust the measurements on my blood, because they're going to say, oh well, the blood test isn't accurate anyway. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. But the only thing is, this come yesterday. I can't prick myself. My 10-year-old's having to do it for me. Because I'm a bit, It come after dinner. So I did the test 1 hour after dinner. Now, according to the information I found, 1 hour after you've eaten, your blood sugar should be 10 or below. Anything higher than that, you know, gestational diabetes. Mine was 8.1, so that's fine. But then this morning, because I'm going to try and test myself in the morning after I fasted and then after I eat. In the morning, before I ate, so after I fasted, it should be 5.1 or below. Mine went right down to 1, and then the machine was flashing low. So I had my breakfast, and then an hour after I've eaten, again, it can be anything up to 10. Mine was 2.7 and it's flashing low like that. And I've just spoke to the woman who works in the co-op who gave me them baby clothes in a previous vlog, and she said that she went through all this with her daughter when she was pregnant. She hates midwives because of how they treat her daughter, but anyway. And her dad is diabetic, and she was saying that I need to watch that, because if it keeps going too low, I'm going to cause problems the other way. I'm going to harm the baby the other way. She said I should eat what I want, but just don't be stupid about it, which is what my mum said as well. Just eat what you want, just don't be stupid about it. Don't overindulge, and keep an eye on it. So now I'm thinking maybe I should, because I put myself on a really strict diet, maybe I should relax it a little bit. Just so my blood sugar's more level. Because the thing is, if there is nothing wrong with me and I've just cut out loads of things, that's not good either, is it? But the other thing Erin Co-op said was, she says you can't just cut sugar out like that, especially if you're pregnant, because it can have effects. She says you'll have headaches and sugar shakes and stuff. And last night I woke up shaking and I thought I was cold. So maybe it's that. So I'm not going to be silly with it. I think I am still going to leave. I'm still going to leave puddings cut out. Not going to eat puddings. Although on Beanie's birthday I'm going to have a slice of cake, and I'm going to a baby shower on Saturday and have a bit of cake. But I'm still not going to eat puddings. And I'm still not going to overindulge. But I think I'm going to relax it a bit, because I don't want to risk going the other way. And I'll just keep an eye on my blood sugar. If it ever is stupid high, then I'll tell them and I'll do as I'm told. But if it stays normal, then I'm just going to tell her it's normal. But I'm going to measure it for a week, like they've advised. And then, because I own the machine now, I'll just measure it every couple of days or something and keep an eye on my diet. But, yeah, just told the midwives, no. Same as I was booked in for a home assessment, even though they've told me I probably can't have a home birth. Because I might have gestational diabetes and my BMI, and the home birth service has been suspended because they're not enough staff and all this lot. They still booked me in for a home assessment, which is going to cause me unbelievable stress and anxiety. So I'm going to cancel it. I've given them the opportunity to support me and to prove that I'm wrong about them, and they've not done it. So I'm just going to either give birth unassisted, give birth and call paramedics, or wait to the very last second and go to the hospital then, like I have with the last two babies. So that's my little update. Thank you so much for your support on the last video. I have seen the comments, I just can't reply to them until I get on the big computer, because my channel account is on the big computer. It's not on the phone or the tablet or anything, so I can't, you know, I will reply. I'll probably reply as I'm uploading this one. But thank you for your support in the last video. But yeah, I'm just keeping my record, monitoring blood, monitoring baby's movement. Oh, I'm just trying to be sensible with it, and just keep the minimal of interference from them for as long as I can.